Dre all day.
Now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, we're not done. How about you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy to put all these materials, all these tools into action, so you can go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. We put all this together, all these elements together, the discipline, the confidence, the mental toughness, and the personal initiative, and what comes out is an entire philosophy, an entire framework, understanding, a system. This show right here, I wrote a book about this topic, and it is today's and everyday's masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to converse with people with whom you disagree. Now, just yesterday, the topic was how to disagree with another person in a respectful way. Today, we're going to talk about how to actually hold a conversation with someone that you're disagreeing with. So yesterday, we touched on some of these things, 2 days ago. We touched on some of these things a couple days ago, but today we're going to dive deeper into how you can actually hold that conversation when you're having a disagreement with another person. And you're going to learn that what you may think your aim is when you're disagreeing with another person is probably not the thing you should be aiming for. So one of the main mistakes that you may have made or you may be making, and that many people are making probably at this exact moment that you're listening to my voice, is thinking that they need to do one thing when they disagree with another person when they should actually be doing another thing. And you're going to understand what I mean by that as we get into this class. So most of the time when I and other people, including you, don't see eye to eye with another person, or think of the last time you didn't see eye to eye with another person, someone in that conversation probably at some point said some form of "I'm done," or "I give up," or "I don't want to talk anymore," or "there's nothing else I can say," or "if you want to be like that, I'm finished," and some form of quitting on the conversation. And maybe it's me. Maybe I thought when I was putting together notes for this show, I thought maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just an insufferable conversational partner, and people only say that when they're talking to me, but I don't think so. My theory is that many people, because of their inability to step outside of their own shoes and understand what another person's perspective may be and why they have it, and to respect the fact that other people have differing perspectives from us. My theory is that since many people are in these mental ghettos of thought, and they cannot consider or respect the point of view of another person, especially one that does not reflect their point of view and opinion, then their only tool, the only thing that they can do when they see that is to attack that person or bastardize that person's opinion, which is another form of attack. To bastardize just means to take what somebody says, add some elements to it, or change it around to make it sound worse or dumber or more shallow than it is, changing the form of it to make it sound different than what it actually was, in order to either to ridicule that person, to make them look bad, to turn a crowd against them, to usually one of those three things. And those are, even though it may feel good in a moment, like we talked about not too long ago, it may feel good in a moment to do these things. Talked about this in Masterclass 1525, 5 days ago. Some things look and feel good, they may even sound good in a moment, but in the long term, are they actually producing the kind of results that you want? And if the answer is no, or you can't unequivocally answer yes, unequivocally and immediately answer yes, then some of your tools are probably not serving you as well as you think they are. So we're gonna help solve that problem here today. Point number one, topic once again is how to converse with people with whom you disagree. First thing you gotta do is ask open questions and listen with the intent of learning, not with the intent of attacking the other person's position, which is what most people do. When you're talking to someone with whom you disagree and you ask questions and they start speaking, listen with the intent of learning. I want to say the third time. Listen with the intent of learning. And you may be thinking, well, learn what? I'm talking to somebody who I disagree with. They have some bad opinions. Their opinion is wrong. They're stupid. They obviously don't know the facts. They don't have the information. They don't have the life experience that I have. They keep living, they'll figure out and they'll become as smart as I am, and they don't have the same opinion as me. I know that's what you're thinking. You may not say it out loud, but that's pretty much what people are communicating usually when they are in disagreement with another person. That the person that you disagree with, obviously they're dumb. Obviously, they don't have the facts and information that you have. Obviously, they can't see things as clearly as you can see them. Obviously, they don't understand things as well as you do. They're not as deep as far as mentally as you are. They haven't had enough life experience to understand things as well as you understand things. And maybe one day, if they get smart enough and educated enough and experienced enough at the level that you're at, then their opinion will change and their opinion will reflect, look at that, what a coincidence, your opinion. That's usually how most people communicate when there's a disagreement. But here's what I suggest you do instead. Instead of attacking another person's position in order to show them why their opinion is wrong and why yours just so happens to be the perfectly right opinion, instead of doing that, which is why I know what you've been doing your whole life and I know what most people will do to you, have done to you, and it's probably why you do it, listen with the intent of learning when someone disagrees with you. In other words, not learning how you can attack them, but just learning why this person has a position that they have. Learning why they feel the way that they feel. Learning what life they have lived up to this point and why they're seeing things the way that they're seeing it. You're talking to someone who is half your age and they think LeBron James is the greatest player in the history of basketball, but you know that Michael Jordan is the best player of all time, which is the right opinion, by the way. If you know that Michael Jordan is the best player of all time, don't try to convince some 18-year-old kid that Michael Jordan is better than LeBron, because that kid knows nothing about Michael Jordan, never saw Michael Jordan. So why don't you, instead of doing that, which is a fruitless cause, even though it may feel good in the moment, start asking questions so you can understand what this kid has seen and what their perspective is and their relatively short life. You're older than them, you know more than them, you've seen a lot more than them. Why do they see things the way that they see them? What do they not know about that you should not, once you find out what they don't know about, don't try to inform them or entertain or educate them on the subject, because they're probably not going to want to hear it because you've already established that you disagree with them, so they know what you're trying to do. All right, people are pretty smart, believe it or not. Just listen with the intent of learning. Learn why other people have the perspectives that they have. Let me let you in on a secret, ladies and gentlemen. You don't want everybody in the world to have the same perspective that you have. All right? If everyone had the exact same perspective, then what would we need you for? The reason why each one of us individually has value is because we all have different perspectives and a different collection and combination of perspectives that makes each of us unique as individuals. So next time you come across someone who has a different perspective than you, do not be frustrated. Don't be annoyed. Don't be mad at them. Don't feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for you because you have this wrong opinion. No, don't feel sorry for them. Be happy that they have a different perspective from you, because that lends to the diversity of the world, and everyone in the world not thinking the way that you think is actually the very thing that makes you valuable. You ever thought about it that way? The very thing that makes you valuable is the fact that no one else has your same combinations of perspectives and opinions and thoughts. So do not go through the fruitless task. You will fail at this, but unconsciously you're trying to do this, getting everyone else to have the same opinion as you. All right, that's a bad idea. Why would you want that? You have no value if everyone else has the same opinion that you have. Because, all right, we can get every single opinion that you have, we can get it from somebody else. There's no need for you to even be in a room. All right, you're taking up oxygen that could be going to someone else. Most people only listen to other people, especially in a disagreement. They only listen to other people for long enough so they can hear something that they can attack, or to come up with a reason or reasons to dismiss that person as a fool or an idiot or someone who just doesn't have the right information or obviously doesn't know the facts. Now, I could do an entire episode just on this point right here. All right, this first point right here, I could talk for an hour straight just on this. Most people, when they hear a dissenting opinion, they resort to bastardizing another person's position, which is, as I said earlier, change what somebody said and then you attack the sarcastic version of their opinion. For example, if you say something like, hey, Dre, you know what? These people over here, they need help. And I say, you know what? You're right. They do need help, but they can help themselves if they do this, this, and this, and this, and this. Like listen to the Work on Your Game masterclass every day. Maybe that's one of the things that they can do. That's my response. They can help themselves if they take certain actions. They should stop complaining about it, about their problems, and they should get to work helping themselves. The same way that I help myself and the same way you, conversational partner, help yourself. But you say, man, Dre, that's too bad that you only care about yourself. I've had conversations just like that. That right there, if you've ever done that or know anyone who's ever done that, we call that bastardizing another person's opinion. It's when they share an opinion and you stretch whatever they said out to the furthest extent of, just the furthest extent, and then you say, oh, well, you think that. But what you said that they think is not what they said. It's like a bastardized version of it. So again, if I say, well, you say it's hot outside, and I say, well, it ain't really that hot. I'm not really that uncomfortable with the heat. And you say, oh, well, good thing for you. You're not affected at all by the heat. That's not what I said. I just said it's not that hot to me. Now, again, it's a very simple example, but this is what people do all the time. So when someone says, well, I don't think this person's that bad, and you say, oh, well, you think that person's Jesus Christ. You think they never made a mistake. Well, that's not what I said. And these are small things that people do, and then the more they get away with them, they just keep making them bigger and bigger and bigger. I see people do this on social media every single day. Sometimes it's people with whom I agree. I see them doing it to other people, and I notice what they're doing when I read what they write, or listen to what they say, and I say, all right, this person's bastardizing that other person's opinion. And then I look at how people amplify these messages. And there are a whole bunch of people who will come in and co-sign it, like, yep, that's right. Or they'll retweet it or like it or share it or comment and let that person know that they're right in saying what they said, only because they agree with you. But if someone disagrees with you, they're the exact opposite, right? So we all got to be careful when it comes to bastardizing other people's opinions. And let me tell you why. Because even though you may be able to bastardize another person's opinion and it feels like you got away with it as far as the audience giving you a round of applause, or your particular audience giving you a round of applause with it, the thing that here's the part where you fail when you bastardize another person's opinion. You will never, ever be able to get that person to want to listen to you, talk to you, or learn from you, because you have just bastardized their position. They know that you did it, even though they may not be able to explain it in words the way that I just explained it. They know that that's what you did. They know you took what they said and you extended it out to an extreme and made it sound way different than what they actually said. They know that you did that. Now you have burned the trust bridge between you and that person. Doesn't mean that person will hate you or they'll never talk to you again, but you have burned the trust bridge because they saw what you did. You know what you did. And especially if you do it in public to where other people have seen it. Now you can forget about having a fruitful conversation with that person ever again. Now you do this with too many people, now you ain't gonna have too many people you can talk to. And if you do this publicly, anyone who sees you do it, now they know that you have the capability of doing this. They're gonna think that much harder about ever conversing with you because they don't wanna be the next victim of your bastardizations. Okay, so this is why you gotta be careful with this. So I'm telling you not only how it is not fruitful to the conversation, but you might not care about that. I'm telling you how it won't be fruitful for you in the long run of your life. Now, do you care about that? Good. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to converse with people who disagree with you or with whom you disagree. Point number 2, seek first to understand and then to be understood. Now, have you heard this saying before? Maybe you have. If you have heard this saying before, let me ask you, do you execute it? All right, do you live the saying or do you just know the saying? All right, they're two different things. All right, a lot of sayings and quotes that people know about, but are you actually living them out? All right, that's the question that you need to ask yourself. How many quotes and sayings can you recite? And then of all those quotes and sayings that you can recite, what percentage of them are you actually living in your life in practice? All right, and if that number is below, let's say 50%, all right, then you need to check yourself. All right, and everybody needs to think about that one right there. So the point again, understand first, be understood second. Keyword to achieve understanding of another person is to ask the question, why? Keyword to understanding another person is to ask the question, why? Why, Mr. Jones, do you see things this way? What experiences or observations have brought you to the place that you're at? That is another form of why. You're not actually saying why, but it's another form of it. From here, when you start asking why questions, why do you think that? Why do you see things this way? Why did you decide to support this person? Why do you have the opinion that you have? Why, when we're both from the same place, you look at it this way when many other people who are from where we're from don't see things the same way? Why do you have such a different opinion from other people? Why do you think your position or your point of view is so different from so many other people out here? When you ask these kind of questions, listen, the people who have opinions, and usually if you're having this kind of conversation with someone with whom you disagree, that means you have both expressed an opinion. That's where the disagreement exists, right? They'll tell you why. They'll tell you where these things have come from. They'll tell you why their point of view is different from yours or whomever else's. They will let you know if you are willing to ask the question and you are seeking, you're asking in the spirit of understanding them, they will answer the question. Now, if you're in the spirit of looking for something to attack about them, they'll read that off you as well, because as we know, 85 or 90 or 98%, whatever the number is, % of communication is nonverbal, right? So people know when you're asking them questions just so you can find something to attack or some way to put them down. And people also know when you're asking questions because you actually want to learn. And it's a subtle difference, but human beings, we have these sixth, seventh, and eighth senses about what someone's intentions are, or at least what we think someone's intentions are when they're asking us questions. So from that point, you can start to see what another person sees. When you understand where another person's perspective comes from, you can start to see what they see. And even if you are tactful about it, you can fill in some experience or information gaps that other people have. So when someone lets you know they think a certain way because of A, B, and C, but then you realize that this person is completely unaware of pieces of information labeled D, E, and F, you can tactfully, respectfully insert those pieces of information, and they can say, oh, well, I didn't know that. Nobody had told me that. Nobody had ever filled me in on those things. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a conversation in which you were disagreeing with another person, shared with them some information, and they responded that way? Oh, you know what? I didn't know that. Nobody ever told me that. I was never privy to that information. If you never had anyone respond to you that way, that's because you need to work on your tactfulness. It's probably because you weren't very tactful in the way that you explained whatever you were explaining. Maybe you threw the information in their face, or better, shoved it in their face, such that they were in a defensive mode and they were not able to hear whatever you were sharing. Actually, they heard it, but they weren't able to listen. You understand what I'm saying? You were trying to be understood before you had established understanding. If you tried to get other people to understand you before you have understood them, then they're not going to listen to you. They will hear you, but they won't listen to you. You understand the difference between the two? If you are tactful, you can fill in people's information gaps. And understand that in conversation, oftentimes when people disagree, people will try to fill in information gaps by saying anything. All right, people will say anything in the middle of a debate or argument or any form of heated disagreement just to prove their point. When people get to that state, and most human beings get to this state relatively quickly, they will say pretty much anything when it comes to being sarcastic about your points, bastardizing your opinions and the positions that you have and the things that you say, quoting statistics or references that they claim to be facts. These days, a lot of people will claim that something is a fact when they have not verified it and they can't prove that it's a fact, but they will swear on everything that it is a fact. Understand, when people start doing these things, you are trying to get other people to understand you instead of you understanding them. Therefore, they're not ready to listen to you because you have not listened to them. All right, this is reciprocity, ladies and gentlemen. You want people to listen to you? First thing you gotta do is listen to them. Let them say what they want to say. Let them make their point. Let them share their information, their facts. Even if you think their information and facts are completely inaccurate, let them share them. And when they feel like they have been heard, then they'll be ready to listen. Most of you have never even gotten to that point ever in a conversation with a person with whom you disagree. You've never experienced this ever in your life. Didn't know it even existed. It's like an oasis in the middle of the desert. You think it only exists in cartoons. It does exist in real life, but only if you are able to execute in the order in which I'm telling you to execute. The problem for most people is that you try too hard to give your information first and you lose any chance of anyone actually wanting to listen to it. So how about you cure yourself of that disease, that disease that is stopping you from being able to get other people to listen to you. And I guarantee you, your conversation will go a whole lot smoother in your life with anyone with whom you're talking, no matter what the situation. I talked about this a lot in masterclass number 1297, how to master your anti-people skills. If you haven't listened to that class, I would suggest you go listen to it again. That's 1297, how to master your anti-people skills. All right, those are the people skills that you have that you think you're strong at, but they're actually hurting your ability to build rapport and be listened to and connect with other people, because you think you need to impart your wisdom on other people, and what you actually need to do is listen to their wisdom, even if their wisdom is complete garbage. Let them think that it's wisdom, and then once they feel like they have been satisfied in speaking, then they'll be willing to listen to anything that you have to say. But you must follow the order of operations. Point number 3, today's topic: how to converse with people with whom you disagree. Stay in the conversation. Stay in the conversation when you disagree with another person. I hear too many forms of "I give up, I'm done, I don't want to talk anymore, you're not listening to me." You ever hear somebody say that in a conversation? Everyone has the same problem when they're using these type of phrases. Somebody says, I give up, I'm done, you're not listening to me, you just want to think how you think, you just want to be in the space that you are mentally, some form of that. Whenever somebody is saying that, let me tell you what mistake that person is making. The person who says they don't want to talk anymore, here's the mistake that they're making. They are trying too hard to get their own point across rather than listening to the other person's point. Only reason you would ever give up on a conversation with another person is because you are trying to force your opinions, your beliefs, your point of view, your perspectives, your idea on another person. All right, so if you would just stop trying to do that, then you would never have a reason to quit a conversation. Any of you ever quit a conversation because you got tired of letting another person just share what they want to share? Maybe you have. But what I'm saying here is, the spirit of what I'm saying here is, you don't get tired of a conversation when you are learning and listening from and listening to another person. You don't get tired of learning from people. Now, you might get tired of trying to teach a person because they seem to not want to be taught. And that should be a hint to you. All right, you shouldn't be trying to teach anyone who doesn't want to be taught. Okay? You heard the saying, I've talked about this before, preaching to the choir. Now, I did a whole masterclass on preaching to the choir. Let me tell you what number that was. That was masterclass number 1507. It was titled Preach to the Choir, Dummy. You know what preach to the choir means? It means only talk to people who actually want to hear your message. All right, preaching to the choir is not a bad idea. It's a great idea. It's a smart idea. It's an idea of efficiency and strategy. All right, do not preach to people who don't want to hear you preach. Do not impart your wisdom and your knowledge on people who don't want to hear it. All right, don't try to sell your book to people who don't read books. All right, don't tell people about your podcast if they don't know what a podcast is. All right, don't show your video to people who don't want to watch your video. Give your message to the people who actually want to hear it. All right, talk to the people who showed up and who signed up. Many of you get in a conversation with a person and a disagreement comes up, and instead of actually listening to the person, you are trying to force your wisdom into their mind. All right, you're trying to fit your square peg of wisdom into the round hole of their thinking. It does not work, and eventually you get to the point where you give up, you're done, they're not listening. Of course they're not listening. All right, why would they want to listen to you? Has any of you ever succeeded in arguing with a person and thusly changing their opinion through that argument? Anybody? So anyone listening here who has ever changed another person's opinion through argument? All right, next person who does it will be the first. Usually after you fail to convince other people to change their opinion, of course you want to give up and you're done and you think they're not listening. They aren't listening. You're right. That is an accurate observation. Nobody's ever changed an opinion by telling another person that theirs was wrong, so therefore you should accept mine. All right, your opinion's wrong, so here, let me give you an opinion that you should have. All right, change your opinion to this. All right, has anyone ever done that? I'm waiting for somebody to speak up and let me know that they did that. Key thing about opinions, ladies and gentlemen, there is no right or wrong. Now, logically, you understand this. You knew that already, right? Do you understand it emotionally? Do you emotionally understand that other people have the right to have whatever opinion they want, even if you disagree with it? Did you know that people have a right to have an opinion that you disagree with? Did you know that people had a right to vote for whatever politician they want? You know that people have the right to feel however they want to feel about a certain type of person or a certain type of profession or a certain piece of information, or to not have any opinion because they just don't give a damn. Do you know that people have a right to not give a damn about things that are really important to you? Did you know that? You know that people have a right to take really serious things that you don't care about at all and you think shouldn't even exist? Do you know that they have the right to do that? I told you about this in masterclass number 1378. You know what the topic is? It'd be a perfect topic for right now. The topic is racism is legal and other truths that you should accept. And in case y'all didn't know, I'm an African-American man. The topic, racism is legal and other truths you should accept. The whole point of the topic is not necessarily about racism. It's about the fact that people have the right to have whatever opinion that they want, and you burning up your energy and wasting your most valuable resource, being your time, trying to convince people to think otherwise, is a waste of your resources. It's a waste of your life, because when you waste resources, your life is burning up with it. It's always really interesting to me when someone tells another person that their opinion is wrong. They're wrong for having the opinion that they have. All right, that is an oxymoron. Okay, opinions are not right or wrong. You can feel however you want to feel. Even if I don't like it, even if I disagree, even if I think you are a complete idiot, you are still entitled to that opinion. And you are not wrong for having an opinion that someone else disagrees with. So the next time you think someone is wrong because their opinion is different from yours, all right, you're in the wrong zone. All right, you need to get your mind right. Now you're in the wrong space. Scott Adams wrote a book called Loser Think, where he talks about this and other mental faux pas that people execute when they just get into an emotional space and they're not consciously thinking and not thinking logically or strategically enough. I'll try to help you with that every day here, but that book will be a good supplement. Again, it's called Loser Think. Author is Scott Adams. When you get in conversations with other people, especially when someone has an opinion that's different from yours, or you anticipate that they do, or you find out that they do, converse to learn twice as much as you converse to teach. As the saying goes, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and 2 eyes. But let's just talk about the ears and the mouth. Learn twice as much as you converse. Learn twice as much as you teach, rather. All right, 2 ears, 1 mouth. So for every 1 time you speak, you should listen twice. For every 1 speaking unit, you got to invest 2 listening units. If you just listen to other people to learn, you will find out what their perspective is and where they come from. Then maybe, just maybe, if you're smart enough, and I think you are, you will understand where another person is coming from. You'll understand they're not from where you're from. They don't have the experiences that you have. They don't see life the way that you've seen it because they haven't been through the life that you live. That's why they have the opinion that they have. Don't try to change it because you can't go back and change everything in their life to be like yours. Understand the diversity of life is what makes us all unique. All right? You don't want everybody to have your opinion because then you would be useless. Let's recap today's class, which is how to converse with people with whom you disagree. Point number 1, ask open questions and listen with the intent of learning, not with the intent of attacking. This could be the entire topic right here, but many people, when they hear something that they dissent to, some dissenting opinion, they resort to sarcasm and bastardizing. Change what somebody said, then attack the sarcastic version of another person's opinion. All right, this will not help you in the long run of life because anybody you do this to will no longer want to converse with you. Point number 2, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Key word to doing this is asking the question why. Ask forms of why questions, open-ended questions, and let people explain to you where they're coming from and how they came to the conclusions that they've come to. You will realize that they have different backgrounds and perspectives than you, which makes sense to understand why they have a different opinion. They should have a different opinion because they're not you. Problem for most people is you try too hard to be understood first, and then you lose any chance of ever being heard. Point number 3, stay in the conversation. I hear too many forms of I give up in conversations or they're not listening in conversations. They're not supposed to be listening because you're supposed to be learning from them, not them learning from you. Do not try to force your knowledge on another person. Preach to the choir. You know what preaching to the choir means? It means only talk to people who are asking questions and want to learn from you. They're not asking you how you came to a certain conclusion. They're not asking you for certain information, or they have not shown you through some form of permission that they want to hear what you have to say. Do not offer it to them. Okay, only preach to people who showed up to church. It's always interesting to me when someone tries to tell another person that their opinion is wrong. That is an oxymoron. Opinions are not right or wrong. Converse to learn twice as much as you converse to teach. You start enacting these right now, I guarantee you, I have just cured about 80% of your stress and anxiety when it comes to talking to other people on any hot button issues that may exist in your life. And we know there are plenty. Work on your game. Dre all day.